Hello, and welcome. Thanks to the fantastic team at My Tax Accountant, we're going to be tackling one of the most misunderstood little details in UK tax, the T9 code. Now, it might seem small, but believe me, getting this wrong for the 2025/26 tax year can cause some major headaches. So, let's make it simple.
All right, let me just ask you something, straight up. When you look at your accounts, are you absolutely 100% certain that every single transaction is coded correctly for VAT? Because even the ones with £0 VAT can trip you up if they're not in the right box.
And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Here's where it can go wrong. A simple slip-up, especially with those tricky zero VAT items, can lead to a VAT return that's just, well, wrong. This doesn't just mess up your books. It can actually paint a false picture of your business's turnover and, potentially get you a letter from HMRC you really don't want.
Okay, so let's get into it. Here's our game plan. We'll start by looking at the whole VAT code puzzle, then we'll nail down exactly what the T9 code is, we'll compare T9 versus the other codes, see how it works in the real world, give you a solid checklist to get it right, and finally talk about a professional solution.
So what's at the heart of all this confusion? Well, it all comes down to transactions that look identical on the surface, because they all have zero VAT, but as you're about to see, they are worlds apart. This right here is the classic trap. You see a transaction, it says zero VAT, and your brain immediately goes, that's a T9. But that one tiny assumption can throw your entire financial reporting out of whack. It's not just about a code, it's about getting a totally skewed picture of how your business is actually doing. All right, so let's get this sorted once and for all. It's time to be crystal clear on what T9 is actually for, and maybe more importantly, what it's not for. And here we have it. The T9 code is only for transactions that are completely, and this is the key phrase, outside the scope of VAT. It doesn't mean the VAT is 0%. It means VAT law doesn't even apply to it in the first place. Big difference.
So what does outside the scope actually look like in your day-to-day business life? Well, it's a lot of the standard stuff, actually. Paying your team's wages, shifting money between your own bank accounts, getting a payout from an insurance claim, paying your tax bill to HMRC, or receiving dividends. None of these things are part of the VAT system at all.
And here's a pro tip for you, and this is absolutely crucial. When you code something as T9, your accounting software like Sage or Xero knows to completely ignore it when it comes to your VAT return. It won't pop up in box 6's turnover, it won't show up anywhere. It's basically invisible to the VAT man.
Now, this next point is where so many businesses get tangled up. If T9 is for things outside the VAT system, what on earth do you do with items that have zero VAT but are very much inside the system? Let's break down that critical difference.
This little table sums up the whole puzzle perfectly. Just look at that last row. That's the key. For T9, the transaction does not appear on your VAT return. But for zero rated, which is T0, and exempt, which is T2, it's a big fat yes. They absolutely must be reported, even though no VAT was collected.
So first up, we've got zero rated, or T0. Think of these as goods and services that the government has said are taxable, but the rate is currently set to 0%. So they are very much a part of the VAT system, and you've got to include the value of these sales in box 6 of your VAT return.
What are we talking about here? Everyday stuff. Most of the food you buy in a supermarket, clothes for the kids, books, newspapers, prescription medicines, all of these are zero rated. If your business sells these, they are sales, they are part of your turnover, and HMRC needs to know about them. And then you have exempt items, or T2. This is for goods and services where no VAT is charged because the law specifically makes them exempt. But just like zero-rated items, the income from these sales also has to be included in your VAT return figures.
Okay, theory is one thing, but let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. Because honestly, knowing the difference between these codes can mean a clean tax record or a massive headache down the line.
So, let's meet Mr. Thompson. He runs a great little consultancy in London. He's an expert at what he does, but like so many business owners, he found the little details of VAT a bit of a minefield.
And here was his mistake, and it's a super common one. He just assumed that if a transaction had no VAT, it must be a T9. So all his zero-rated and exempt sales were getting coded incorrectly. And what that meant was his VAT return was seriously underreporting his true business turnover.
So, a professional accountant stepped in. They went through everything, pulled out the true T9 items like his salary payments, and then methodically recoded all his sales to the right T0 and T2 codes. The end result? A perfectly accurate VAT return that finally showed his real turnover.
Stay with me, the next point might surprise you.
Because at the end of the day, this is the number that matters. 0. That's the exact number of unexpected please explain these figures letters you want from HMRC. Clean, accurate books are your fastest ticket to peace of mind. Okay, let's pull all of this together into something you can actually use. Here is your final actionable checklist to make sure you nail this every single time.
Think of this as your T9 rule book. Do use T9 for things genuinely outside the VAT system, like wages and bank transfers. Absolutely do not use T9 for things you sell that happen to be zero-rated or exempt. And the golden rule to remember, T0 and T2 items must go on your return, T9 items do not. Oh, and a quick side note, if you're not VAT registered at all, then yeah, T9 is pretty much your go-to code for everything.
Now look, even with all the rules laid out, applying them perfectly every single time, it can still be stressful. And sometimes the best and most efficient solution is to just ask for help.
So after hearing all that, how are you feeling about your own accounts? Is there a tiny voice in the back of your head wondering if maybe you've been making the same mistake as Mr. Thompson?
If you have even the slightest doubt, please remember you don't have to sort it all out on your own. Getting expert help from a professional tax accountant just takes all the guesswork out of it, makes sure you're compliant, and gives you that priceless peace of mind.
So, if you've got any questions about the T9 code, your VAT returns, or literally any other tax issue, the team at My Tax Accountant is ready to help. You can reach out to them directly on WhatsApp or by phone at 07854-255-375, or just drop them an email at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk.
And finally, if you found this helpful, please do subscribe to the My Tax Accountant channel. They've got lots more clear, straightforward advice to help you navigate the tricky world of UK tax. Thanks so much for watching.